Hello and welcome. Today we'll be checking out this game, and this is a bullet game, yes, and this is a sweet game with some calculations, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Believe me, it'll be fun. All right, and I'll show you some tricks, some decent tricks used in this game. You can learn from some of them. So here we go. I'm black, my opponent is white, and this is a bullet game, 1 minute, 0 seconds increment. Right. So the game starts with d4, preparing maybe for the London, I don't know, all sort of stuff. So there's a sweet line here, which is this, which is play e4, e5, sorry, inviting, capturing, and this is called the England Gambit. Basically, you gambit the center pawn to get some activity. Opponent gets some activity to protect this pawn, and the England Gambit goes this way. You have two attackers for this pawn, and people, usually get their bishop here protecting this pawn. Again, I mean, I'm not targeting any bishop, and no tactics here. This is all theory. And now what I do is I give a check with my queen. The whole point of bringing the queen at this e7 square, right? And they see the bishop hanging and their check, so they have to protect it, which is the top rated engine move. Another move is this. In this way, I take the bishop and they play this in order to get my rook with their knight. But they basically lose a bishop and a knight for a rook, which is good for me, right? So bishop to d2 to protect the bishop. And now comes the hard part, and it is the crucial part of this gambit. England Gambit is queen takes on b2. And I mean, computer suggests 2.3 advantage for white. I'm basically lost at this point, because there are some tactics here. There are some very fascinating tactics. I'll show you 2 to 3, right? Bishop is lost as I play bishop to b4. And if you take it, I don't even take the rook first. I take the bishop from my knight. And once you move, this is just terrible. Terrible. You're losing a bishop and a knight for nothing. No advantage. Absolutely no advantage. Right. And if you don't play this, you play something like this. This is also lost, because okay, I take the rook. So another very fascinating line. If you don't play this with the bishop, thinking that you'll trap my queen, because the sole reason people play bishop here is to trap the queen. They don't realize this coming. Another way, if you already know the line, would be playing this to protect your rook, and to protect everything, possibly trapping the queen. Yeah. And I'll show you. If I play this and he plays this, and I play something, anything, I play something foolish. Let's just say this. I don't even play this. This is lost. Let's just say I play this in order to get some activity. The guy will bring the rook. I have to move. I cannot trade my rook for a queen, right? Sorry. He'll play this in order to look at this. I have to play this in order to prevent this. The guy will just take. This is terrible for me. So with perfect play, this is the gambit doesn't work, right? But unfortunately, we're not super high rated. We're not titled yet, and this is a bullet game. So another fascinating line would be if he plays this and I play this. Now the trapping doesn't work. This was a total trap. If the knight wasn't here and you play the rook, I have to move back. The knight aims at this, getting my rook eventually. But now that I have played my knight, opponent can't trap the queen, and the opponent doesn't know this, because this is a very rare line, played very occasionally, very rarely. Many people might not know this line. It's okay. Let's just assume rook b1 is played by my opponent. This is dead lost, because you might think my queen is attacked, right? But danger levels. Yes, we learned that from Gotham. That's right. Danger levels, I check the king. And you see the king is smothered. Right? And the only way to get out of this check is to capture the knight. Knights are very tricky. You have to capture because you can't move. That's the only way. You capture the knight, I get the queen, you play something to trap my queen, maybe it doesn't work. I'm sorry, not that. But yeah, I play something else. It just works this way. So this was what I intended for to happen. Unfortunately, my opponent pre-moved this play. So a very important thing for beginners and even for amateurs is when you have a chance to push your pawns to, in the opening theory, right, in the opening only, whenever you have the chance to push your pawns to attack the pieces of your opponent, and I mean they are basically developing, right, they have to retreat, you get an advantage, you get a positional advantage sort of for the temporary, for the moment. You also sort of get fast development, right? So I play this, the guy retreats, I do this to protect my pawn. This doesn't matter, I'll just play something developing move. He takes, I take with the pawn, right? Taking with the knight sounds good. I mean, yeah, okay, the computer is dangling between these two options, but I take with the pawn because the pawn is solid here. The knight can be attacked by another knight, so it doesn't make sense. And that's exactly what my opponent plays. So I play another developing move, pinning this knight in case there's another attacker to this pawn. The pawn is not really a very much high priority, but it is certainly a good spot for developing. So yeah, okay, this was a pretty easy move to make. I'm basically damaging the structure and removing another attacker to this pawn. So let's just see how this goes. I castle, pretty standard moves. Adding another defender. Okay, I'm doing too much. Yeah, you might say I'm doing too much, but it's all cool. Okay. This is sacrificing a pawn for getting some. My plan was this: getting the king not to castle. This sounded good. I'm getting two pawns, but it's a temporary sacrifice. But the guy didn't take it. He obviously thought I have some tactics, maybe. So I continue. So this is pretty bad for white because white has two c pawns, two double c pawns, and they can't move. No matter what white plays, they just can't move. And the pawn on e3 is also paralyzed by my two heavily advanced pawns. So developing moves, nothing unusual, right? Okay, this goes bringing the queen maybe to castle this side. This is not a good square for the queen because at the moment everything is blocked. But if the intention is to castle, it's an okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You may now push the pawns. I cannot do anything to capture them because it's just a very strong battery. Yeah. Okay, I cement this pawn because I see I see something along the lines of this. I really wanted to preserve this weakness of white. Which is why I cemented my c pawn. And further, I will be playing this to since the king is here, I have to break open the position and get my queen involved. And yeah, obviously getting the rooks involved is very important, but at the moment my bishops don't aim here, so getting rooks prematurely involved might be dangerous for me. I push my pawns. All right, the queen moved. This is not looking good for white, right? The knight currently attacks one of my defenders of this pawn, and I have to defend it because even though this is a close position, this is pretty much a close position, and the knights are preferred higher than the bishops. Unfortunately, I this diagonal is just too terrifying, and I love this diagonal, which is why I speculate, capturing this pawn, moving this pawn, and getting some activity involved, which is why I protect my knight. Bishop, sorry. Otherwise, I would definitely trade my bishop for the knight in a close position. So time control. Okay, time. My opponent is left with 30 seconds. I'm 37 seconds. It is a pretty close match. My opponent is rated similar to me. So let's see what happens. Okay, opponent decides to blunder. It happens in a board game. And the sweet thing is he took 3 seconds to blunder his knight. I have no idea what his intentions were. Probably to attack my queen and just go back. But this doesn't work. Even if my knight wasn't here, right? Even if, let's just say, my knight moved and he played something else, and then he decided to play, I could just, and he, yeah, I could do all sorts of thing, and he wasn't getting any attack involved. So what happened is I captured, obviously. It took me 1 second. Yeah, pretty easy to see. Bringing my rook to rook left, probably, possibly. Yeah, I'm not adding any defender to this knight. Yeah, please, yeah. No advantage in doing so. Just pushing my pawns, grabbing more space. I don't want to allow an attack from the queen side, which is basically the king side right now. Yep. Okay. That is exactly what he does. Creating a battery would be super effective. Unfortunately, he cannot get the 3 super strategy battery, which you all know as ballistic missiles. No ballistic missiles, just the queen. Never mind. Because the queen can't move really. This square is covered. This square is covered. This square is covered. And this square is covered. This is obviously covered. So no chance to see 2 rooks and a queen on a single file. Let's see what he does. Some positioning. Okay, getting the bishop away from the defense of the king might not have been a very great option, but this is what he does, and the computer suggests an advantage of 21. That is right. 21. Cool. And yeah, I played the top engine move because that is logical. This is nothing unhuman. Yeah, it is pretty logical. You see the king and the same file as the queen. You see the weaknesses and you see a way to capitalize those mistakes. So I do that. Okay, white shouldn't really capture this because it comes with check. I'm not currently attacking this, but it comes with check and some nasty rook ideas, but he does that. And right now it is mate in 5. How is it a mate in 5? Moving the rook, absolutely. Getting the rooks involved, and boom. This is okay, this works, and this works. I go for a more traditional approach, which is getting the queen involved. It is also mate in 5 right now, and I see it. This is, well, with perfect play, this is a mate in 10, which he supposedly does. I don't know, but this okay, I've lost my mating advantage. Unfortunately, this was a mistake. The king should move. You obviously see this, right? It is the same as a rook and king mate. The king has to escape this last file to prevent mate. Unfortunately, he takes 3 seconds to make a mistake which results in mate in 1, which is simple mate. I could have gone for this. This works as well, right? This is a more traditional approach. Nothing serious. And this is how I mate. My guy is left with 1 second on the clock. I'm left with 18, because that's what happens in bullet matches when you have an advantage, right? And more of a positional advantage than a material advantage, and your offense is too strong. The opponent tends to lose a lot of time thinking about the defense rather than offense, and that is totally logical. Totally no exceptions. Totally not against the psychological advances. It's pretty decent to consume more time when you're being attacked, right? That is exactly what he does. I have to see. Okay. This is pretty funny because my opponent takes 8 seconds to lose an advantage of 10, right? The computer suggests minus 11 right, advantage for me, for black, and my opponent takes 8 seconds to play bishop c1 and loses drastically. The advantage is minus 21 for me now. So not a good move. Unfortunately, it's a nice mate. That's a traditional mate. People don't see mates like this in bullet often. people do make mistakes like this very often. But this is a nice mate, a sweet mate. You could call it a straight mate, right? And I think this will sum up our educational awareness chess session today. Thank you for watching. I don't have any sponsors yet, so it'll be lovely if you give it a like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.